There's like always this weird delay between like me and OBS and the stream. Very irritating. But alright, yeah. How y'all living? My hair looks terrible. I should be wearing a big beanie, but it's like 90 degrees, so no. It's more like 70, but still. I need a hair tie. It's weird. Like 2 years ago, I cut my hair, and then I let my hair grow back, and in that time, I gave all my hair ties to a girlfriend. God, now I know what it's like. This is what all those girls used to make fun of in elementary school were going through. Oh my god, do you have a hair tie? Do you have a scrunchie? Surprisingly effective, by the way. Scrunchies. And they're comfortable. But yeah, hey, what's going on, guys? How y'all living? How we doing? How we feeling? What do we read this week? I have my pile right here, slapping it like a $2 whore. Just, yeah, booty slaps. Oh, but like you gotta give your comments a good solid rub down after you do that. You gotta kiss them. They're very sensitive. Just saying. Gotta be considerate towards your reading material. Supreme Omega. Hey, what's up, Dan? How you feeling? Adam. Hey, how you doing, Adam? Wait, is someone such in the sky? Oh, you got the the Goku hairlining. Oh, dude, I feel you. Hey, Tevya, how you doing, buddy? Thoughts on the first episode of Miss Marvel? Oh, that came out already? Shit, I'm late. I'll check that out. In fact, let me just pull up Disney Plus and I just have that queued off after the stream. If this was an ideal world, and by ideal world I mean YouTube 10 years ago, I totally wouldn't have mind streaming it for you guys right here, right now. But yeah, no, YouTube in the past couple years has gotten really deeply anal, fissury about about doing any sort of third party streaming. So yeah, whatever. Not third party streaming, but you know what I mean. But I don't know. It's weird. I'm kind of interested, but I'm also not. It's after the past couple Disney Plus shows, I'm just Hawkeye left a lot to be desired for me. And that ending just, what the hell was that ending? And then there was it's where I quite enjoyed WandaVision, I enjoyed the first half of WandaVision, and then the second half of WandaVision happens, and I actually have not seen Falcon and Winter Soldier. I saw some of the clips, and I just thought it was the corniest shit in the world. And it's so bizarre because growing up I had this weird, how people hate Superman. I had that for Captain America. Although I didn't because I never really hated Superman. I just always felt indifferent towards Superman. But I hated Captain America for a long time, especially when I was a teenager, going through my whole I know everything phase. I know how the world works. I'm 14. Obviously, Captain America is a product of the military industrial complex and blah blah blah. He's just an arm of the military. I used to be like that. Thank God I've deleted all those videos from middle school because Jesus Christ, they're terrible. But no, just I used to hate Captain America for ideological reasons. And then, like, just some of the clips that I saw of the show, in a weird way, reinforced why 14-year-old Mystical Green Beanie hated Captain America. So I was like, no, this sucks. I'm not watching that shit. Hawkeye just felt like discount Daredevil. If I'm gonna be real with y'all, it felt like discount Matt Fraction and David Aja, and it felt like Daredevil, but like not as good. So that kind of, and then Moon Knight. What the fuck was Moon Knight? That was. I love Oscar Isaac. I think the whole cast for that show was great. Ethan Hawke was amazing in that show, right? As what's his fuck the OC villain. I thought he was actually pretty interesting. And Ethan Hawke's performance was fantastic. Like his I think he's like the first person we see in the Moon Knight show, where like he's introduced as drinking a glass of water and then like shattering the glass and putting it in his sandals. It's very haunting. Apparently that was like an Ethan Hawke idea too. But you know, just beyond that, like, let's make Moon Knight the White Ranger from Power Rangers. What the fuck is this? What? But I enjoyed it through watching it with my girlfriend, and my girlfriend really enjoyed it, so I guess by extension I really enjoyed it too at the time. Just when I stop and think about it, I'm just like, why did you do that with Moon Knight? That's weird. So I'm I'm kind of hesitant to dip my toe, to rest my brow, to for my skin before Miss Marvel. Probably should have said that last one, especially in the context of anyways. But still, no, just Miss Marvel's like one of my favorite recent Marvel comics. Like I legitimately think, and I stand by this, I think Miss Marvel is the best teen superhero that Marvel's had since Spider-Man. No one's really come close, and I stand to that. I'm just kind of, I don't know if I can watch the show. I'm scared. I'm like really scared. But yeah, I don't know. They made it like Green Lantern. What the fuck? Yeah. But I like the actress Iman. She's really good, you know. At least in interviews that I've seen, I like the cut of her jib. You know, she you got spunk, kid. It's weird calling you kid. You're like 3 or 4 years younger than I am. But still, you got spunk, kid. My phone agrees. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of scared. Let's see what else. Tevye says today was the Summer Games Fest. Was it? Okay, I'm out of the loop. Dude. I woke up like super late this morning. I hung out with a buddy of mine last night. We got drunk and we watched Berserk. We were like celebrating my birthday from a couple days ago, but he wasn't able to make it, so we just hung out at his house. Nah, dude, like, I woke up this morning, got a hungover, and I just started like editing, my Superman video, which I'm gonna upload tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow morning, because I see a lot of people try to do the whole, like, you know, Matt, this is me if I wore glasses. I do wear glasses. Wait, where are my glasses? Hold on a second. I can actually do the meme. It just, I need my glasses to do it. Which they're in here somewhere. I should be wearing them, actually, but I choose not to because they make my face look weird. Nope, I don't know. I don't know where my glasses are, but anyways, I see a lot of people do the whole thing where they like, actually, Superman is not Jesus, he's Moses, and if you're gonna draw any comparison between Superman and a religious figure, it should be Moses, because Siegel and Schuster were Jewish. And it's like, okay, I see where you're coming from. I get the connection you're drawing from. I get it. I understand why you're making that argument. But your argument for Superman being Moses is just as shallow and superficial as the arguments for why Superman is Jesus. I mean, you can draw the comparison, sure. It's just stupid. Like Superman and Moses like aren't really all that similar besides their origin. But yeah, no, I'm doing a whole video talking about that. I'm gonna drop that tomorrow morning. Hopefully you guys like it. I'm sure it will. If it goes outside of the target demographic being you guys, it's gonna draw some ire, just a little bit. Especially the Superman cult, because that's what it is. The Superman fans are a cult. They are, and I say this as someone who's like entered the Superman cult himself in the past like couple years. That shit's a cult. Yeah, no, that's the video that I've been working on all day today. So no, I didn't get a chance to check out the Summer Games Fest. Although I did see on Twitter that The Last of Us is getting a PS5 remake. That's good for people with $1,000 to burn for a Scout PS5. More power to you, I guess. Adam says, in your opinion, how would you describe the difference between Barry and Wally being the Flash? I always felt like Wally was pessimistic at first, but was realistic, while Barry was very overly optimistic. Yeah. Another one I draw is that Barry, pre-Jeff Johns, he is the stalwart standard Silver Age Midwestern American superhero. He's got those conservative values. You know, he believes in the Americana, you know, the American way, even more so than Superman. Because Superman is, I mean, he's from the Midwest and he's from like, you know, flower country, but he's also like a fuck the authority kind of journalist. So like, you know, him and Barry would probably not agree on some things. Also, Barry Allen's a cop. So like Barry Allen is like kind of working for the establishment, and like with the establishment. So I don't know. Barry Allen is like the authority figure. He's kind of like the white picket fence, like he's a trad hero, you know, trad, or, you know, traditional hero. Wally is Wally's the shit-eating teenager who had to grow up too fast. Well, not too fast. He was in college when Barry Allen died. But he had to put college aside, and he had to put his friends aside, and he had to grow up faster than the Teen Titans did, because Wally had to take his place as the Flash. And he was a very different Flash. You know, he had a public identity. He was the exact type of celebrity to get Me Too'd in a modern era context. What else? He's like he's a party brat. Like, no, dude, like Wally was MCU Iron Man before MCU Iron Man. That's what Wally West was for a long time. And then like over the 20 years, like from 1986 to 2006, or whenever Infinite Crisis happened, we watch Wally West progress as a character and kind of grow up and change, and really mature into the proper kind of adult that he always could have and should have been. And Barry didn't really have that, just because we weren't writing stories like that in the Silver Age comics. Although Barry does go through some like character transformation when you get to the the Bronze Age, I think it's called, like the 70s and 80s, like everything from the death of Iris West to the trial of Barry Allen, or the trial of the Flash. We see Barry go through like a substantial change of character and how he like his perspective on the world around him and criminals and the justice system and what it means to be a superhero. Like some of that changes a little bit. I think it's kind of fascinating. So Barry Allen does go through an evolution of character, but it's a very different evolution of character, if I may say so. Yeah, no, great question. And Adam says, my bad, I meant to say I saw your signal in the sky. Oh, thank you. I wanted to make like a signal in the sky joke. If you guys ever heard that song, the Powerpuff Girls song, like power, super power. I loved that song growing up. That was my shit. I love nigga the Powerpuff Girls, bro. Real G's. Y'all know, y'all were hip to the Powerpuff Girls. That was my shit growing up. I loved it. Let me know if you know that song. Hopefully I'm not alone here. Toby says, thoughts on the last episode of Young Justice Phantoms, because I thought it was really awesome and badass, and thought the season was tons of fun. I agree. I thought the season was way better than season 3. Way better than season 3. I'll throw that out there. Yeah, dude, like I really enjoyed it. The ending was kind of weird, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but we're going to set up season 5 by adapting that. Okay. Assuming we get a season 5. I hope we get a season 5. Because of that post-credit scene. That's what I want to see. I've been waiting like 4 seasons to get that reveal. I've been waiting to see them interact with Young Justice and the Teen Titans for a very long time. Yeah, no, I really hope Young Justice gets renewed for season 5. I absolutely enjoyed the whole finale. I thought it was great. Also, it's funny. I was watching Man of Steel. Cause I was showing it to a buddy of mine, a different buddy of mine, a couple. Actually, no, yesterday. And it just kind of hit me between like Young Justice, Man of Steel, the various comics where Superman interacts with evil Kryptonians. I feel really bad for Superman. Like, there's a dude who, like, growing up for most of his life is just like going through the motions, thinking that he's the last of his kind, and then he finds out that he's not the last of his kind. And then when he meets people that are like survivors from Krypton, they all turn out to just be like eugenicists and like ethno-supremacist assholes. I'm not strong like Superman. I'd probably kill myself. I would just feel so defeated emotionally. I would just feel so drained. I'd be like, oh, there's like no hope in this universe. Like, everything sucks. This is terrible. And the only other Kryptonian that's not like that and who is a girl, is your cousin. Nope. Just open my wrist like a fucking zipper, dude. Just nah, dude. I wouldn't be able to deal. I would just be in so much pain. Pour one out from my buddy Superman. That's just depressing. 1610 man. Hey, how you doing, pal? What's up? 1610 says MCU shows all build up in no real resolution or climax. LOL. I agree, but take out the LOL for me, because I'm not laughing. I'm crying. I want to laugh, but all I can do is cry. Tevia says, personally, I thought Superman and his family are really awesome, tons of fun. For Young Justice, yeah, me too. Also, this is why I hope that Young Justice gets a season 5, because I see a lot of people on Twitter just kind of crapping on Young Justice, saying like, this show sucks and it fell off and blah blah blah. And I'm like, fuck off. I like Young Justice. Let it keep going. I will literally Griffith you to get season 5, because I want to see John Kent and Damian Wayne interact. I want my Super Sons. Super Sons deserve justice. Oh man. It's like the 5 Berserk readers out there. Actually, no, Berserk's pretty popular, so like maybe some of you guys have like read or watched Berserk. I will Griffith you to get season 5 of Young Justice, though. I'm not kidding. I would. It's like the only time I'm like ever gonna see John Kent and Damian Wayne interact properly in DC Comics ever again. Or not comics, but like, you know, DC entertainment media ever again. So if I gotta hurt you to get Super Sons back, fine. Cause I love me some Super Sons. That was my shit. That was a great comic. It sucks that kind of got ripped away prematurely. But I'm glad that Young Justice is building up to it. That's pretty cool. 1610 man says, I like Ultimate Captain America, the deconstructed version. I do too. Like, I really do. I love I love Mark Millar's like twisted, like jingoistic, hyper fascist Captain America. I love him to death. I think he's great. I know people have a problem with him, but the whole thing with like the Ultimate Universe and Mark Millar's Ultimates, Mark Millar and Brian Hitch's Ultimates, but rather, always got to credit the artist. They're like 1/3 of the whole comic shooting process. Like, so, yeah, credit the artist and the letterer. They're really important too. But yeah, no, still, Mark Millar, Brian Hitch, their Ultimates series is parody. It is satire. It's supposed to be a little irreverent, guys. Like, just lighten the fuck up. It's a joke. You know, and Captain America's like beating alien Nazi man, cuts him in half in the shield, and says, "You think this A in my forehead stands for friends?" It's a joke, buddy. It's a whole joke. It's okay to laugh. You know, it's cool, man. You don't gotta take it so seriously. And I absolutely love that version of Captain America. I think it's hilarious. When he's written properly. Because I know like some other writers like try to approach him and like they approach him seriously, and it's like, like that like Captain America miniseries, like he goes to Vietnam and like fights Nuke. That was not like great. Art was pretty good in that though. That was a pretty good fight between Cap and Nuke. That was really good. Supreme Omega. Hey, what's up, Supreme? How you doing? Supreme Omega says the main criticism for episode 1 of Miss Marvel is that Nakia was sidelined in terms of screen time, and Zoe's bullying was really toned down, which is a shame. Thoughts? Well, I'll let you know when I watch the show. I can't say anything if I haven't seen it yet, but that sounds about right. You know, that sounds like what a sanitized Disney Plus version of Miss Marvel would be like. Which is very weird considering that like Miss Marvel by G. Willow Wilson and Mahmoud Assar? No, that's not Mahmoud Assar. That's not Mahmoud Assar's art. Because Mahmoud Assar did Supergirl, and his art's very different than the artist from Miss Marvel. I don't have my Miss Marvel comics over here anymore. I think I gave those away when I went to college. Yeah, no, like Miss Marvel came out in a very hyper sanitized era for Marvel Comics. So comparing Miss Marvel comics to like old Stan Lee, Steve Ditko Spider-Man comics, very safe by comparison. So like a very sanitized, safe version of Miss Marvel, that sounds kind of weird. Like, what's even the point of that? At that point, what are you even doing? Just make a fucking Stargirl show if you're gonna do all that shit. Which, by the way, I've heard is really good. I just wish I cared enough about the. I almost said I cared enough about the JSA, but I do. I care a lot about the JSA. But specific members, and by specific members, I mean Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate and Jay Garrick. I care about them and no one else's. Hourman's cool, but like I don't care. Hawkman is cool, but I don't care. Well, not enough to. I don't know. I'll check the Stargirl TV show out at some point. I heard it's like one of the few superhero TV shows to go like 3 seasons and still be really good. It's like that, Daredevil, and Doom Patrol. Like the 3 superhero shows that are actually good. Live action superhero shows that are like actually really good. So yeah, I'll have to check out Stargirl at some point. But I should probably do it before I watch Black Adam because I'm kind of worried that the JSA and Black Adam might blow Stargirl's JSA out of the water, and not even like a subtle blow. It'll be like a full on like vintage 2002 like Sasha Grey blow. It'll be insane, just completely unfair. 1610 Man says MCU Hawkeye show, PG Daredevil Netflix Christmas edition. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. Tristan, hey, what's up, Tristan? How you doing? Hey, MGB, the books that I'm getting this week are Amazing Spider-Man number 3, Venom number 8, Savage Dragon number 2, Thor 26, and Dark Crisis number 1. Let's see. Speaking of comics that we got this week, comics that I got this week were, number 1, my most anticipated comic of the year, Aquaman Andromeda. This bad boy was just... When I saw the freaking ads for it, I was like, oh, this is going to be fucking special, it's going to be great, it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be everything that Black Label was promised to be. I read it, and yeah, it is. It's exactly that. This comic is beautiful, it's amazing, it's fantastic. Paced very deliberately. Like, look at this. Hold on a second. First of all, Christian Ward's art is masterful. I used to be like one of those comic nerds who was like, yeah, digital comic art, yeah. But, dude, first of all, like, as I'm like actually trying to like draw more and like do my own art and shit like that, like, I have a deep, like, profound respect for digital art. It's fantastic. Also, my girlfriend does digital art. And whenever I watch you do that, I'm like, oh, I can't do that for shit. So yeah, no, like fantastic. Look, just look at this. Look at this. You know, this is beautiful. And again, like as I was talking about, like everything being like paced deliberately. Like I love how what is this, like panel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like panel 5, that transition from that shot to the black hole in the event horizon. Like it's crazy, right? I know this comic is beautiful. I love it. I saw someone on like I think Reddit say that this is going to be like Dark Knight Returns for Aquaman, in the sense that there are Batman comics before Dark Knight Returns and there are Batman comics after Dark Knight Returns. I think this is gonna be like that. For better or worse. If we're gonna make that Dark Knight Returns comparison. But yeah, no, this was really cool. I love like just the colors here are fantastic. Who's the colorist on this? Did Christian Ward do this whole thing? Yeah, Christian Ward did the colors too. Holy shit, you colored yourself and you did it amazingly. Like, just look at this. This is gorgeous, dude. Fantastic. They also kind of hinted Aquaman being like kind of immortal in this, or you know, at the very least aging significantly slower than normal humans. So yeah, I don't know. I'm fascinated to see where this goes. I wish I knew more about Aquaman, because there are some characters here that I think if I had more of a greater context for Aquaman outside of like the Peter David stuff and the Jeff Johns stuff, which is really mostly just like Atlantis politics and like Atlantean politics, not Atlantis politics. What I'm talking about. But you know, just like this whole thing, you know, like Esperanza or whatever the fuck, like this whole like R&D military team, like these guys right here. I wonder if these are Aquaman characters in the comics that I just don't know about because I haven't read enough Aquaman comics. I don't know, but beyond that, just I don't know, dude. I had a real experience reading this. I loved it. It was great. Also, look at the back cover. The back cover is really cool too. Also, a little detail. I like how Aquaman's suit is made up of like ocean matter, like it's just like weird shells and seaweed and shit, just growing on his body, kind of like a fungus. I think that's fascinating. I can do without the Jason Momoa tattoos. If I'm gonna be honest. That's a very recent Aquaman thing. I think it much like the MCU stuff, where like, you know, Tony Stark in the MCU wears cool little rock star glasses. Okay, cool. I don't need to see that on Iron Man all the time in comics. Or like, you know, just other things like Captain America's costume being like hyper padded with like the shells here and shit. Like it works for the MCU. I don't necessarily need to see it in comics. Just like Aquaman with tattoos. It works for Jason Momoa's Aquaman. You know, I think it looks really badass in Justice League. I think he looks really cool in the Aquaman movie. I don't need to see that be the standard for Aquaman across all media. Just gotta be honest. But no, just beyond that, this comic's fantastic. I love it, and I cannot wait for issue 2 of this. God, this was beautiful. This was an experience. I don't even know how to like talk about this comic, dude. Like, it's, what do I say? You know, if I was gonna say anything about Aquaman Andromeda, it would be that if I had my way, if I was an editor at DC Comics, I would make a quick little last minute change to the title, Aquaman Andromeda. I would change it to Raging Stepfather, because this comic slaps hard as fuck. Put that on the cover, DC Comics. Yeah, Mystical Green Beanie. That's his recommendation for Aquaman Andromeda. Domestic abuse. Speaking of which, let's talk about Batman. No, I actually don't have any Batman comics this week. I saw that Batman Killing Time came out this week. I read like the first 2 issues of that. I know it's going somewhere, but I feel like it's not gonna make sense until it's all wrapped up in like a nice little bow. So I'm just gonna hold off on reading any of that until it actually comes out in trade. Or I just go on a full-on spurg and just buy the whole thing if it's if the single issues are available in my comic shop. Moving on. I also got Dune: House of Atreides. And I didn't get this for myself. A buddy of mine that I hung out with last night, he got this for me for my birthday. Because he knows that I love the Dune movie, and that I'm actually, it's right here. Death sounds. I'm reading the Dune novel right now. Surprisingly fast paced. I like saw the page count and I was like, this bad boy is fucking thicker than a bowl of oatmeal, dog. This book's gonna take forever to get through. It's not taking that long, you know. I'm like, where am I? Like, okay, I'm 100. Let's see, where did I leave off? Here we go. Yeah, I am 124 pages in. This was a breeze. You know, this is flying by pretty quickly. This is a fast read. Really dense read, but also fast. It's hard to explain that. If you read books, you know. Oh, you know what? For the one Harry Potter book that I read, because I read Chamber of Secrets, which I think is the first one, and like the only one that I read. But Chamber of Secrets also, I remember it being pretty dense when I was like in the first grade. But yeah, no, that's also like, I read it like that, you know. This reads very much in that same vein. Yeah, no, I'm like reading Dune right now. So my buddy got me the House of Atreides book, which I think this is a prequel to the movie. Although the movie is sticking, at least so far from what I've read, sticks very closely to the source material. Although the movie is kind of like less hokey, if that makes any sense. It's kind of weird. I don't read Duke Atreides as being, you know, Oscar Daddy Isaacs that he is in the Dune movie, in the book. Duke Leto is kind of just a old man jackass fool in this book. Like, okay, whatever you say, Boomer. Like, okay, Boomer. No, it's hard to take super seriously in the book compared to the movie. But no, like, still, outside of that, the Doom book is really good so far, and I'm really glad that my buddy got me this, because apparently this fleshes out the House of Atreides even further. So yeah, I'm interested to check that out. But yeah, and last but not least, because I didn't get a lot of comics this week, Judge Dredd, Mutants in Mega City 1. I'm a big fan of the 2000 AD comics. I used to have a lot of them, like, sporadically growing up. So yeah, no, this stuff is like, you know, those like best Joker stories ever told, or like, you know, Spider-Man, the cosmic cum dump of comics, where it's just like a compilation of like very specific stories. This is what this is. This is just kind of detailing the mutant crimes of Mega City 1 from the Judge Dredd 2000 AD comics. All out of context, you know, just kind of no real order to them. But yeah, no, I'm excited to check this out. I really like the European stuff. I've been getting into a lot of that recently, or a lot more recently. I used to be like very picky and selective growing up. I had the Valerian and Laureline graphic albums. Those are really fun, but also very French. I got Dylan Dog, and didn't really resonate with me as much. Dylan Dog is very much like, it's the romance version of Hellblazer, which is a very no, that's an accurate description of that. If you've read it, you've read it. You know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, well, then you're just like probably scratching your head like, what the fuck are you talking about? The romance version of Hellblazer? That's a weird pitch. But yeah, that's exactly what that is. But yeah, no, I like a lot of the European comics. And after kind of like deep diving the Meta Barons, and the Inkle, which I like the Meta Barons way more than the Inkle, I'm gonna be honest. But yeah, no, I'm like just doing a whole deep dive on like European comics, and I think they're like really fun. I kind of want to talk about them on here, but I see like so many other YouTubers do like these like hour and a half long like deconstruction video essay like dissertations on on these like weird like French comics that are really cool. But I'm just like, bro, I think you're overanalyzing it just a little bit. Like, the Inkle is great, and it's really cool, but that's also Jodorowsky just being like high as fuck, tripping balls and the titties. The Meta Barons is like way more. It's like way more. Like, you know, what's the word? God damn it. The storytelling in the Meta Barons is way more intentional, if that makes sense. Not intentional is not the word I want to use. But yeah, no, like it's Inkle's good. Meta Barons is better. That's my hot take. If that is a hot take. But yeah. Anyways, that's what I read this week, or bought this week. So yeah, hopefully I'm gonna read through these and enjoy them. I'm going to enjoy them very much. Tevia says, any opinion on Ultimate Daredevil from the Ultimate Universe? Well, I would have an opinion if he mattered in the Ultimate Universe, which is like kind of sad, but Daredevil's not really a big presence in the Ultimate Universe, you know? Like, he shows up in Ultimate Spider-Man, and he's, like, kind of a dick. Which is oddly making him more of a responsible adult than the Daredevil in the 616 comics. I'm just gonna be honest about it. Because like Peter shows up and he's like, "Come on, Daredevil, let's do our thing. Let's beat up the Kingpin." And Matt is like, "You are very clearly a 15-year-old child. Get the hell out of here. What are you doing, man?" No, and it's funny. So many people just kind of like write him off as like a dick, and it's like, no, but sometimes when you're growing up and you're a teenager, you need a dick in your life. I could have phrased that better, but you feel me, right? Like sometimes you just need an adult to be in your life to say no. And that's what Daredevil was for Ultimate Spider-Man. Which I find endlessly fascinating because at that same time that Bendis was writing Ultimate Spider-Man and writing Matt Murdock like that, he was also writing Daredevil with Alex Maleev. And that whole run is just... Matt is just not being the adult at all. In fact, that's like a 50-plus issue run where you're just watching a man fall apart. I think it's really fascinating that like Bendis was doing the same character but approaching them like polar opposite spectrums. But outside of that, there's like the Elektra Year One comic by Greg Rucka. And like, I don't know, man. It's basically just Man Without Fear, but from Elektra's perspective. And it's just not much to go off of there. So, I don't know. I really think more could have been done with Ultimate Daredevil. But, yeah. As it was, I liked him a lot when he showed up in Ultimate Spider-Man. In fact, one of the things that I thought was fascinating is that Ultimate Daredevil was a lot like the Ben Affleck Daredevil from the movie, you know? His was a Daredevil who was fine with killing people. His was a Daredevil who, much like Ben Affleck's Daredevil, God, my hair looks atrocious. But his Daredevil also witnessed his father get murdered. But his father was murdered by the Kingpin. God, I just made it worse. Jesus Christ. This is God punishing me for making fun of girls in elementary school for asking for hair ties all the time. Damn it. But you know, he's a very different take on the character, and more definitely could have done with him. But I think it's safe to say that's the case with most of the Ultimate Universe. Toby says, my main criticism with Miss Marvel is changing her powers to these cosmic powers. Yeah, that looks retarded. I'm sorry. It does. Stretchy powers supremacy. That's how I feel about that. And like the weird PR stuff around that was just kind of like hollow as fuck, right? Like, and they were like, oh, but Mr. Fantastic is also a polymorph in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We can't have two polymorphs. It's like, bitch, we just got Spider-Man No Way Home. You gave us 3 people with the same exact powers and abilities and kind of personalities. Like, what? You can't have 2 polymorphs in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Thor: Love and Thunder is coming out later this year. You're getting 2 Thors. That's stupid. That's really stupid. No, it's dumb. Tristan says, speaking of Ultimate, I read Ultimates 1. It's a pretty good book, even with some of the questionable things that were in it. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Just you can't take it at face value. You got to take it as a joke. I'm not sure if you have like read or not read. I'm not sure if you've watched like, I almost said Mel Brooks, but that's maybe not the best comparison. Kind of Monty Python, like kind of that. No, not really, because damn. The Boys comic, which I know some people also take problems with, but the Garth Ennis is like superhero stuff because Garth Ennis hates superheroes and thinks people who like enjoy superheroes should be chemically castrated and thrown to the wayside. But like The Boys, right? Comic, The Boys is very irreverent and it's a joke. You're supposed to take it as a joke because it is a joke. Ultimates is very much in that same boat. You can't take it seriously. It's a joke. They're joking about very serious subject matter. In this case, the military-industrial complex and American exceptionalism and how that shaped the 20th century and degenerated the 21st, or degenerated into the 21st, much rather. But it's a joke, and it's using superheroes to frame that subject matter into the joke. Superheroes aren't the punchline. America's the punchline. That's what I'm getting at. So that's the whole thing with Ultimates. That's the best way to read Ultimates. Adam Cano says, I know what you mean. My first exposure to Captain America was Ultimates. No, it's bad. It's so bad. No, it's terrible. I'm so sorry. When I read the description of the first Captain America movie synopsis, mind blown when I read the first description of the first Captain America movie synopsis. We'll bring the ultimate Cap. Was scared. Yep. Dude, I remember seeing the first images from First Avenger, right? When you got like Steve basically wearing the ultimate Captain America uniform from the first issue of Ultimates 1. I was like, oh shit, we're gonna get Captain America like impaling the Red Skull and pointing to his forehead, going like, "You think this ice is for France?" I'm kind of glad we didn't get that because I like Steve in the MCU a lot, but no, it's still oh man, fun times, dude, fun times. Remember when the Ultimate Universe used to like dominate the Marvel conversation? You know, like when we thought of Marvel, we just kind of immediately thought of the Ultimate Universe. In the same way that like when people think about Marvel now, they think about the MCU. Interesting times. Very interesting. Supreme Omega says, also on Identity Crisis, another issue that I have is the Deathstroke fight. It makes no sense for Slade to win against Wally, Kyle, Zatanna, and Black Canary. He couldn't defeat a bunch of teens in the 80s. Yes, that's true. But context matters, you know? I think the big thing with Deathstroke in the 80s, which, by the way, he did defeat a bunch of teenagers in the 80s. He's the one who deconstructed the Teen Titans and brought them all to Brother Blood for the Judas contract. Remember? Yeah, he did. He did defeat them all. But yeah, no, Deathstroke's big thing. Now in the Teen Titans TV show, he's can't defeat a bunch of teenagers. But like in the comics, oh my god, Deathstroke's badass. Also in the comics, Deathstroke is evil Captain America. That's the thing that I think a lot of people forget. You know, even like DC Comics editorial, I think they forget. Deathstroke is enhanced. You know, he has super soldier serum pumping through his veins. You know, that dude he's Captain America if Captain America was a mercenary. So, you know, Deathstroke, encountering Wally West and being like, "You're still playing the same games, huh, kid?" And then just like tripping him up. No, I think that kind of tracks. No, Deathstroke's supposed to be like the ultimate badass. Not the current Deathstroke who like gets beat up by Batman. It's just weird. I don't know how that starts. I don't know, and that's another thing. I don't know where the whole like Batman's the ultimate badass fighter of the DC universe. No. I don't know when that starts. That might be an Arkham game thing because the Arkham games are centered around like combat and fighting. But Batman in the comics is not this like ultimate combatant. There's a lot of people who can kick Batman's ass in the DC universe, even like without superpowers. Cassandra Cain could probably beat Batman's ass. Nightwing could probably kick Batman's ass. Dick Dragon could definitely kick Batman's ass. Lady Shiva 100%. Katana probably. Like, no, Batman is not the ultimate fighter of the DC universe. So like when you get the Arkham games and you got like Batman, year one Batman, by the way, beating up Deathstroke, no. I think a large part, just to go back to what we were saying earlier, of why Deathstroke is kind of seen as this like wimp, is the Arkham games, and all the like Batman versus Deathstroke kind of media that we've gotten the past couple of years. Because Deathstroke is enhanced, and also I really like Identity Crisis because I like Identity Crisis for a lot of reasons, but I love that Identity Crisis put Deathstroke back on the map and was like, hey, you remember Deathstroke? Remember that guy from like that we haven't used in like 10 years for anything? He's actually kind of a badass. I appreciate Identity Crisis for that. Let's see. 1610 says, in my opinion, Peter the edgy tone. Sorry, I said Peter. In my opinion, prefer the edgy tone of dark and gritty, grinded, pretentious, pessimistic, nihilistic realism deconstruction with the superhero genre stuff. I'm just wanting something more out of it. I agree. I'm kind of maybe in that same boat. As I was discovering about myself yesterday when I was watching Berserk, The Golden Age, where I was like, oh shit, I like this more than I am comfortable with liking this. It says a lot about myself there. But no, I really like the dark, fucked up shit. I just wish that it was approached in a way that was good. Coincidentally enough, as we're just talking about Identity Crisis, one of the big things that I was kind of like pitching one of my friends Identity Crisis for was that over the past like 30 or so years, we've seen a lot of people at both Marvel and DC try to replicate Watchmen within the mainline continuity of comics, and it doesn't quite work out. And by doesn't quite work out, I mean a lot of it just falls flat on its face, busts its nose, breaks its teeth, maybe detaches a few retina here and there, shatters the whatever bone this is, the sinuses, just completely eviscerates the face. Identity Crisis, not so much. In fact, I would say Identity Crisis is Watchmen within the DC universe, but like not total hackneyed crap. Like, I think it's actually well written and actually well put together. Also, probably a large part of that is just because I don't care a lot about the like 90s Justice League International, like, superhero stuff. Like, I it's the comedy Justice League. I don't give a shit, dude. I'm sorry. Like, I really don't. It's a cool farce. It's really cute, but, like, I'm glad that Grant Morrison came back and said, why are you doing this with the Justice League? Shouldn't the Justice League be the Justice League? Novel idea, but but yeah, no, I agree. I don't hate Dark and Gritty. In fact, I like Dark and Gritty a lot. I just think a lot of people who do Dark and Gritty are like dog shit at it. So yeah, it's the same thing with like Wacky and Irreverent. Wacky and Irreverent is also really good. It's just a lot of people aren't good at it. So just Tevye says, I'm tired of deconstruction of superheroes because frankly I've reached my breaking point with that nonsense. Yeah, I can see you feel that way. But you like Young Justice, so you're not done with it. No, You just don't like it when it's done terribly, which I agree with. But no, you like Young Justice. Young Justice is also deconstructionist superhero stuff. Supreme Omega says, I read non-superhero stuff late. I've read non-superhero stuff lately. Classic 80s indie comics like Cerberus. I hear that's really good. I gotta check that out. Cerberus is the longest self-published indie comic, mostly done by one guy. It ran for 300 issues. Pity the creator is a bad man. That sucks. I think that's why we have the whole like separate the artists from the art kind of thing. I'm finding more and more that a lot of brilliant artists turn out to just be garbage fire human beings. Yeah, no, that sucks, dude. Damn. But I do want to check out Cerberus, though. I heard nothing but good things about it, so I will definitely add that to my list. You know, just like Schindler, just Captain America, that shit. Add it to the list. 1610 Man. Ultimate DC is cool for me. I like all three of them: All Star, Earth One, and New 52. Yeah, cool. New 52 is so frustrating for me. So much could have been done with the New 52 if they just took a second and just planned shit out. Like, if you want to, like, marvel up your DC universe and you know, kind of modernize the superheroes in a way, there's a way to do that. There definitely is a way to do that. In fact, since we're talking about like garbage pail like comics creators, Max Landis, you know, his whole American Alien universe, that is the New 52 done right. It is. Now, say what you will about Max Landis as a person, you know, as far as I'm concerned, anyone who works in Hollywood, guilty until proven innocent. That's just how I feel about that personally. But be that as it may, the whole Kryptonian epic, universe that he's crafted, brilliant. I think it's fantastic. I think it's, it feels like he has a story to tell and is like, everything is very intentional. You know, like nothing's on accident. Like all the pieces are at play, and everyone has a role to fulfill in the story and the universe of the Kryptonian epic. That's what the New 52 should have been. Hip modern Superman, boom. A weird reinvention of Aquaman, boom. If you really want to play up Batman being a morally ambiguous psychopath, bing bang boom. Like, no. Max Landis is American Alien, like, universe, the Kryptonian epic. Great. That's what the New 52 should have been. And I don't know. I just kind of I feel like my biggest issue with the New 52 was that it's a good idea. Just it needed some more time in the oven. If it wasn't rushed out, as soon as Dan DiDio took the editor-in-chief position at DC Comics, it would have been really good. And I think we would have seen a very different DC universe now, if they just took a fucking second. Adam says, what's the image in your shirt? The government is curious. It's Doctor Strange. It's funny, like, I actually had a lot of people, like, compliment me on my t-shirt the other day, and they were like, oh, it's so great that you have a black Doctor Strange on your t-shirt. It's like, no, he's just a regular Doctor Strange. He's just drawn to look very Italian. So, I don't know. Supreme Omega. In terms of comic history, I wish the non-superhero parts were emphasized more, like the 60s underground comics or the 80s self-published indie boom like Cerberus, ElfQuest, Love and Rockets. I haven't read Love and Rockets. ElfQuest I've heard is really good. I'm just not a big fantasy guy personally. But no, I definitely think a lot of that stuff should be touted up more. I just think because Marvel and and this is where I do 100% agree with guys like Warren Ellis. No, not Warren Ellis. Warren Ellis, Garth Ennis, a lot of those like British invasion dudes who aren't Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison's like the odd exception, and Neil Gaiman. But like with the exception of Neil Gaiman and Grant Morrison, all the other British invasion dudes I think have a bone to pick with Marvel and DC and the American superhero comic book industrial complex, where superheroes just kind of run everything. There's that resentment there, and I get it, because a lot of the indie stuff that's also very important to the history of comics just isn't talked about, you know. And the stuff that is talked about is like not quite superhero, but it's like superhero adjacent, like Watchmen and V for Vendetta. Even though V for Vendetta is not a superhero comic at all, it's a comic about an anarchist like villain who, I don't want to spoil the big reveal, but like they live in like this dystopian society in like an alternate history version of the UK, or UK. If you read it, you read it, and you know. If you haven't, read V for Vendetta. It's great. But no, dude. Like I think a lot of the indie comics, like the great indie comics of the 80s and 70s, and 60s. I don't have a lot of context for the 60s stuff, and maybe that's the problem. It's just not talked about enough, you know. Especially a lot of Euro comics. Like Euro comics aren't talked about enough. Like Tintin. We need more Tintin in our comic book discourse. I mean, I think Tintin's boring as shit. I'm gonna be honest. And I say that I've read Tintin. I think Tintin's boring. I'm sure some people like Tintin, but it just wasn't my thing personally. But I also like Garfield, so like my opinion means jack shit here, honestly. 1610 Man says New 52, Earth 52 comics continuity errors with adding post-crisis stuff wasn't needed. It was just very confusing. Yeah, and that was the big problem. That was like another big problem with the New 52. As time went on, it really felt like the creators started to feel self-conscious about the universe that they were actively building, so they just bought in a bunch of shit from the old universe and just carried it over and said, "Hey, we here's the thing. We hope please don't hurt us anymore. We can't put Superman's red trunks back on, but here we can give you the Toy Man from the Jeff Loeb comic. Just please stop being mad at us." They didn't stick to their guns. And that's a universal problem that DC has. Film, TV, video games, all of it, just they're hyper reactionary. Hilariously enough, looking at the current state of DC film, it's almost one for one the same problem that the comics have had for the past 10 plus years. They just keep getting, like, they have an idea, maybe not all that cooked in the oven, but they're still building it, and then they just kind of like they get self-conscious and they just kind of they crumble at the first sign of people getting mad at them. It's like, bro, what are you doing? And then we end up with the situation that we're in now with DC movies and DC comics. Just an endless parade of bullshit by virtue of not having any balls artistically or creatively. Or no, they have the creative in the artistic balls. They just they put the tail between their legs and hide them when they feel threatened. And that's a big problem with DC entertainment on the whole. Supreme Omega. In terms of comics history, I already read that one. Tevya, speaking of comics, that reminds me of any opinion on indie comics called Ultra Mega, because I thought it was really awesome and badass. I liked Ultra Mega. The ending confused me though, but that whole book confused me. It's one of those weird things where the art is fantastic, but the storytelling is... Well, you're reading it for the art. And that's why I was reading it. I was reading it for the art. The art was fantastic. It was really cool. You were there for the big kaiju fights. That's why I was there. That's why I think the artist writer was there. You know, it was for the big kaiju fights and some of the like weird, very specific world building stuff. With that universe. But storytelling is very confusing. Sebia says Wally West is personally my Flash, which I approve. Man of culture. Supreme Omega. Also on the Flash, I feel like Jesse Quick should be Wally's successor. Bart should remain his own man as Impulse. I agree. We need to go back in time and tell that to DC editorial, because I agree, and that's what should have happened, but did not happen. So that's how that's gonna go. 1610 says, I read Marv Wolfman's New Teen Titan comics, and Wally West and Beast Boy hated each other. They did. There's moments where Wally hated Beast Boy, calling him out for being a Midwestern conservative and rich Republican. Well, it's kind of funny and weird because so I have not read all of Wolfman and Perez's Teen Titans, but I did know that they don't like each other, or that not Wolfman and Perez, the late great Perez, but no, they loved each other. But I know Wally and Beast Boy did not get along all that well. Like, Wally's not really, like, rich. He's middle class, but not rich. But he was conservative. You know, Wally West was conservative, and that was something that Wally kind of evolves through as we go from the Mark Waid years into the Jeff Johns years. Wally becomes very liberal, he kind of starts to hang out more with like people who aren't traditional by like a Midwestern kind of like Americana context, and that kind of like changes his perspective on a lot of matters, superhero and otherwise. So that's true. I still have to read New Teen Titans. I've only really read like the beginning of that series and Judas Contract. But yeah, no, that is the thing. The Flash family was very conservative for a long time. Flash family. It was really just Wally and Barry. Because I think Jay in the pre-Crisis universe was still bound to Earth 2. I don't think he was carried over until Crisis on Infinite Earths. Tevye says, also a bonus seeing my boy Jonathan Samuel Kent as his little kid self reunite with his uncle Connor Kent makes me so happy. Yeah, and that's also why I really want to see the Young Justice series continue. I really hope Young Justice gets renewed for season 5. It just takes a lot of things in comics that just either could have worked but didn't work and makes them work. Like having Superboy Connor Kent interacting with John Kent and watching John grow up. And not just like weirdly ignoring Connor's existence for like 10 years. That's weird. Connor and John should have a relationship. They should have a rapport. And it sucks that the comics never explored that. And I really hope, we get Young Justice Season 5 so we can see that play out. Son of a bitch. Sorry, my the chat just kind of exploded when I tried to scroll down. Let's see. Supreme Omega says, ultimately, my big issue with Identity Crisis is that it inspired the worst DC stories like Amazon's Attack, the year-long mess of Countdown, Cry for Justice, and Heroes in Crisis. Yeah. But that's not Identity Crisis' fault. Is it? Just like, I don't blame Alan Moore for writing Watchmen and there being just dozens of like shitty Watchmen ripoffs. I don't blame I was gonna make like a music allegory, but I can't really think of one. Or like one that like fits. What's another one? Oh, I don't blame Alan Moore for writing The Killing Joke, and then that inspiring just 2 whole decades of just shitty. 3 whole decades of shitty, like, Killing Joke knockoffs that are paling in comparison to The Killing Joke. I can't blame the original for having an impact. I can't blame the MCU for there being like dozens of shitty like MCU clones that have all fizzled out and died, thankfully. But I can't blame that on the MCU, can I? That's not Kevin Feige's fault. So I don't blame Identity Crisis for Heroes in Crisis, or Amazon's Attack, which I haven't really read. I heard it was terrible. It looked bad when I was a little kid, and I'm glad I didn't check that out. Countdown was terrible. Countdown's really bad. I agree with you on that. And Cry for Justice. Cry for Justice is Okay, if you guys haven't read Cry for Justice, that came out like what 2009, 2010. That is the comic that made me and a lot of other people at the time just kind of throw our hands in the air and say, "Fuck it, reboot the universe. We don't care. Go for it. You want a new 52 this shit? Go for it. We don't care anymore. Fine." Yeah, no, that Cry for Justice was that's a comic that happened. Tevia says, I am really hoping we get a season 5 of Young Justice because that would be really awesome and tons of fun. Much agreed. Tevia's quoting Ultimate Captain America. Based Captain America. Based Captain America. The closest we're ever gonna get to like Ultimate Captain America is maybe Soldier Boy from The Boys. Which, by the way, I'm like watching that right now. I'm gonna reread Ultimates 1, and see if I can hear Jensen Ackles' voice in my head when I read Captain America. I'm gonna see if I can hear that. Because for the longest time I heard Brad Pitt, because I think Brad Pitt was like the like visual aid for Brian Hitch when doing Ultimates, but I'm gonna see if I hear Soldier Boy this time. Ultimate 1610 says Ultimate Marvel, or most of Ultimate Marvel, the adaptations. No, I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I'm gonna read this again. I'm gonna read this right here. Ultimate Marvel, most, if not all, of the adaptation of all the adaptational jackass may seem out of left field, but upon closer inspection, you realize that the characters are actually deconstructions of mainstream counterparts. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you. If you're saying what I think you said, I think I had a stroke reading that, but yes, no, 100%, I agree. It's not your fault. I just choose to do these streams super late at night for some ungodly reason. But yeah, no, like I would go a step further. I wouldn't say that they're deconstructions. I would just say that they are the cinematic 21st century updated versions of what they are in the 616 comics. With the exception of Captain America. Captain America is a deconstruction. But Tony Stark? If you go back and read some of those like old Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Don Heck, was it Don Heck? Might have been Don Heck. Like Don Heck Iron Man comics from the 60s, like from Tales of Suspense and the Avengers. Brian Hitch and Mark Millar's Tony Stark is not that far off from the classic 60s Tony Stark in the comics. Really not that far off. Just like Janet Van Dyne being like a total kind of vapid attention whore. In fact, yeah, I think they did Janet some favors in Ultimates by making her a scientist and actually putting a brain in her head. Because Janet in the comics, she was just like she was borderline a Garth Ennis character from The Boys. You know, she was just look at me, I'm famous. You know, if you adapted Janet Van Dyne right now from the comics, straight up, she'd be one of she wouldn't be like Lana Rhoades, but she'd be like one of the Logan or Jake Paul brothers' girlfriends. You know, she'd be like, "Oh my god, like I walk the red carpet and like look at me fly and do my like fluttery zappy zaps. You should subscribe to my OnlyFans." That's what Janet Van Dyne would be in the modern context. That's who that character was in the 60s. So no, like that's the thing with classic Marvel comics. They were deconstructions of the superhero concept. And that's the thing I don't think a lot of people realize about classic Marvel comics. Like when I saw that video from like, I think it was like Implicitly Pretentious, where he said that like classic Steve Ditko era Spider-Man comics were it was a sitcom. It's like the dumbest shit I've heard in my life. No, they weren't. It was the '60s equivalent to Degrassi. That's what it was. You know, you were watching this teenager experience problems that teenagers faced in the '60s, but through the lens of superheroes and superhero stuff and superhero fare. You know, like the Avengers were not the Justice League, which is why I really don't like a lot of the modern Avengers comics, which are basically just discount Justice League. The Avengers were the Seven from The Boys. They were the red carpet superheroes involving themselves in international incidences and having like weird fallouts with the public. No, just Marvel Comics were deconstructions of the superhero concept, and I will always love and appreciate Mark Millar and Brian Hitch for bringing those sensibilities back with the Ultimates. 1610 man. Damian Wayne and John Kent versus Tim Drake and Connor Kent battle for the legacy. Yeah. Oh man, dude, that's really sad. I love John and Damian just like I love Connor and Tim, but I can't sit here and pretend like John and Damian's existence didn't completely undercut and invalidate Connor and John. No, Connor and Tim. Because Connor and Tim never really had their time to shine before John and Damian showed up. In fact, as soon as Damian Wayne showed up in the Batman comics, Tim just fell by the wayside real hard. In fact, he's only just now getting his footing back with this like Chip Zdarsky Batman book. Dude, I feel really bad for Tim. Tim's had it rough for the past like 15 years. Let's see. But also, Connor's also had a problem. Like I feel like no one's really known what to do with Connor since the return of Superman. Like I haven't read a lot of that 90s stuff, but like of what I read, it wasn't all that great. And then he's in like the Teen Titans comic, and he's just kind of a totally different character, which kind of makes sense because by the time you get to Jeff Johns' Teen Titans, Connor's been living with the Kents, so all that like prima donna, like don't call me Superboy, I'm the Metropolis Kid. Look at my leather jacket with my really tight pants. All of that just goes away, and he just kind of becomes like a farm kid. You know, all that city slicking and been done exercised from a soul, boy. That boy wasn't right. He had to pump him full of Midwestern values. That's why he wears cargo pants. Oh man. By the way, that look works for Superboy in the Young Justice TV show. But that's because in the Young Justice TV show, Connor's like a very different character than he is in the comics. But as soon as we saw Connor go from his 90s outfit to the outfit that he wore with like the t-shirt and jeans, that's how we knew the 21st century wasn't going to be shit. That's like the biggest downgrade in aesthetics history. Like, you can't sit here and tell me that t-shirt jeans Superboy looks cooler than leather jacket Superboy. You're not just gonna do that. You're not gonna do that. You can't do that. No, I love the Metropolis Kid era so much. Visually, I like that. I like having the Superboy, who's basically Lex Luthor's son, running around. I think that's great. Damn. But yeah, let's see. CW stuff's getting canceled left and right. Yeah. I mean, I don't really have like a dog in that fight because I wasn't watching a lot of the CW shit. But if Flash is any indication of what the CW was in terms of like the superhero content, we're not losing much, are we? Supreme Omega on G. Willow Wilson's Miss Marvel run. I didn't get why Kamala would feel sympathetic and understanding towards Josh, aka Discord. I mean, he joined Hydra and tried to kill her brother. He doesn't deserve the sympathy. Yeah, although Miss Marvel under the G. Willow Wilson run is... They're kind of trying to make her Superman. She is the Marvel equivalent to Superman. So I think that's what they're trying to do with her. Tebby says, technically Stargirl premiered first on the DC Universe streaming service. But I think it got transferred over to CW. I still have to watch that. And Tevye says Titans was so bad I didn't bother. Well, I have seen Titans. The problem with Titans is that Titans I think Titans is a good idea. Like, I legitimately think Titans is a good idea. You know? I like the concept of the DC universe kind of getting to that, like, not quite Batman Beyond point, but it's the point where the DC universe is a post-superhero society. So, like, the Golden Age and the Silver Age kind of evaporated, and we're in this, like, weird era where the superheroes are there, but, like, a lot of them are, like, super old now and kind of, like, falling apart and going away. And the sidekicks just kind of grew up, and they're, like, all jaded and kind of fucked up and broken because essentially they were child soldiers. And I kind of like that idea of the child soldiers, like, sidekick inheriting the Earth and kind of taking their parents' place as the heroes, or as close as you can get to heroes in that kind of world. I think that's kind of fascinating. The problem is it's just not written well, like, at all. And a good idea can only take you so far. So that's the problem with Titans. Good idea, just very poor execution. Toby says Spider-Man Reign is Spider-Man's Dark Knight Returns. Yeah, kinda. I think that's the pitch for it. Well, not it's not just the pitch for it. That's basically what it is. That comic's not great. I love the artwork, but that comic is not great. Which, contrary to what Tevye's saying about Aquaman Andromeda, the artwork does look gorgeous in Aquaman Andromeda. I agree. Spider-Man Reign is just the poor man's Dark Knight Returns? Yes. DC presents James Cameron's Aquaman. You know what? Kinda. That is kind of what this would have been if James Cameron got to do Aquaman. Yeah. James Cameron, Zack Snyder's Aquaman. That's a way better comparison than what I was thinking when I first read this. Because when I first read this, my first thought was, holy shit, this is Zack Snyder's Aquaman. But like not the actual Zack Snyder's Aquaman that we got with like Jason Momoa. I mean that in the sense that Man of Steel is very much like the weird science fiction take on Superman that is distinctly not the comics, but also distinctly pulling exactly from the comics and just doing the comics in a hardened kind of, I don't want to say irreverent, a very cold, calculated science fiction kind of lens. It's the hard sci-fi version of Superman. Just like this is kind of the hard sci-fi version of Aquaman. So that's kind of where I was thinking, like, oh, this is kind of like Man of Steel, but like Aquaman. But no, that's way better than what I was thinking. Like that is totally James Cameron's Aquaman right there. If James Cameron got to do Aquaman, God, I fucking love Entourage so much. Oh my god, so great. Another issue with Quesada's legacy is that I feel like he brought out Bendis' worst creative instincts as a writer by making him the architect of the Marvel Universe. Yeah, well, I don't. Did we talk about Quesada last week? I think we might have. The whole thing with Quesada is weird. I think Quesada did a lot of great for Marvel Comics, and I think his legacy it's unparalleled. I think Quesada's legacy actually kind of dwarfs Stan Lee's at Marvel. If I'm gonna be honest, but you got to take the good with the bad, and one of the bad calls that I think Quesada made was, as you said, there are architects, like creative architects for the Marvel Universe, as there are for the DC Universe too. But for the Marvel Universe, I think Quesada positioned Mark Millar and Bendis as the creative architects for the Marvel Universe. That like 2002, 2003, 2004 era. And I don't think it should have gone to them. I think it should have gone to like Matt Fraction and Ed Brubaker, because they were putting out a lot of great shit in that era. And I don't know. I think because the Fraction and Brubaker were doing like Iron Fist at the time, and they were also doing you had Brubaker on Daredevil, and then Fraction like went on to do like Thor, and then like way later on Hawkeye. But yeah, no, like I really think if you were gonna have anyone like architect the Marvel Universe for like the next like 5 to 10 years, it should have been Brubaker and Fraction. It really should have been those two instead of Mark Millar and Bendis. But I guess Bendis and Mark Millar were like bigger name draws. Maybe. I don't know. It is what it is now, but yeah. Quesada is still doing the terrible One More Day, and still ruined Amazing Spider-Man, and that story was damaged. And that story has damaged that book to this day, and his Quesada legacy is just garbage. Well, I think for Spider-Man it's garbage, but I also think Spider-Man's had a lot of problems. I think those problems extend far beyond and far before Quesada's claim to power at the Marvel throne. I think Spider-Man's had the same problems that he has now since the mid-90s. Like, since Clones... Like, ever since, like, Clone Saga, Spider-Man's had these exact problems that he's facing right now in comics. That's why, as much as I love the JMS run, much as I love the Chip Zdarsky stuff, as much as I really enjoyed a lot of Nick Spencer's early run, I think Spider-Man kind of dies when you get to the 90s. You know, like dies. But, like, you know, I'm being dramatic. But still, like, I think you go from 1961 or, no, 1962, maybe 63, early 60s to, like, the mid-90s, that's Spider-Man. And then the character just kind of falls victim to his own popularity, and just a series of, like, really counterintuitive decisions are made with Spider-Man, and it's how you get to now. Spider-Man's been pretty dog shit for the past, like, 30 years, which is really depressing when you consider that it's, like, the 60th anniversary of the character. If he's been dog shit for, like, 30 years, that means, like, Spider-Man hasn't been worth a damn for, like, half of his existence, which is, that's sad. But yeah, no, I as I said in my I think my Nick Spencer Spider-Man video, the problem with Spider-Man is that ever since the beginning of the Clone Saga, or like the conceit of the Clone Saga, the mandate with Spider-Man has been fix what the previous creative team broke. And when you're just telling stories simply to invalidate the previous creative team's decisions, you're not really telling stories anymore. You know, that's what Spider-Man stories are now. They're not stories. They're just, you know, it's just like an editorial pissing contest. It's kind of Greco in a way, like the Greek tragedy. You know, the whole thing of the Greek tragedy with every new king is just trying to kill his father, or much rather, every new hero, their big claim to power is killing their father, and then taking the throne, and then their son kills them, and then it just kind of goes on and on forever. We just kind of get this like line of misery. It's very Oedipal. That's exactly the problem with the Spider-Man and editorial. It's Oedipal. You know, it's Oedipus killing his father and then leading the kingdom to ruin. That's what Spider-Man is. You know, which is also very fitting for Spider-Man in kind of a weird way. But yeah, no, that's the tragedy of Spider-Man. 1610 says, hell yeah, Bendis circa 2000 and 2012, pre-Marvel now. Last great Bendis book for me was Daredevil End of Days. I agree. I love End of Days. I think that's like the perfect cap off for like the Bendis Daredevil run. It's kind of like his version of Batman Catwoman by Tom King. Which I also think is the thing that kind of starts the trend of the writer building their own kind of ideal pseudo ending for a superhero character that is never really going to end. We've seen that a lot lately, primarily with Daredevil and Batman. Although I think they do it with Hawkeye too. I think like Jeff Lemire does that with Hawkeye. because Jeff Lemire also does that with Green Arrow, with the New 52 Green Arrow. But yeah, I've noticed that a lot lately. Interesting. Tristan says, this summer I made myself a daily comic read where I read a comic every day in the week. For example, I'll read Champions Volume 1 by Mark Waid tomorrow, Son of Kal-El 1 through 6 on Monday, etc., etc. Dude, that's really cool. Yeah, that's a cool little schedule to check your comics out on. I should probably do that, especially with the volume of comics that I have now. Yeah, no, that's really cool. It's diligent. Probably do that too. Tristan says, I also pick up my weekly comics on Fridays. That's probably smart. Comic shops aren't super packed on Fridays. Tevi says, I'm done with Tom King's Batman. Well, I guess that makes two of you, because Tom King is also done with Tom King's Batman. Well, no, because Tom King's still doing One Bad Day, I think it's called. I don't know what we're doing that. Is anyone like really excited for that? I don't know. It could be really good, but it just has that funk of being another Batman thing. That's like the tragedy with a lot of Batman content right now. A lot of it's really good. It's just there's an oversaturation of Batman, and you're making me not care about some of these comics that I otherwise would think are great. But I'm not gonna notice them when you pimp out like 800 other Batman comics that also kind of cover the same ground. My teeth keeps getting in my mustache. I hate to shave this. This is so bad. I would shave the whole thing completely, but my girlfriend gets mad at me when I do that. Well, not mad. She prefers when I have the facial hair. I also do too, because I have a baby face, like a weird fat man baby face. So it's, yeah. I like some facial hair to kind of fill it out. Just the caveat is drinking things is terrible. Let's see. Supreme Omega, do you get the feeling that the Didio brought out Johns' worst creative instincts? Because his early work with Stars and Stripes, his JSA run pre-Infinite Crisis, and the first half of the Wally West Flash run was really good. Well, I don't think that's a Didio problem, because Didio wasn't really the head guy in charge yet. I think that was Paul Levitz. But same thing with Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns became the creative ship steerer, or pilot, if you will, for DC Comics. In the same way that Bendis was the creative captain, much rather, not pilot, that sounds stupid, but the creative captain for Marvel Comics was Bendis. The creative captain for DC Comics for a long time was Jeff Johns. And I don't think Johns was that guy. I can't think of who else it should have been. I mean, maybe Grant Morrison, but like, was Grant Morrison in the position to like want to do that in like 2004, 2005? I don't know. Also, to be just going through it, I know people compare Jeff Johns to Bendis a lot, but the difference between Bendis and Jeff Johns is that Jeff Johns is already doing a lot of comics, and wasn't just like sticking to like one particular kind of genre either. Bendis' whole thing was that he was the street level guy. When he ventured out beyond the street level stuff, that's when everything started. That's when the seams started to show. For Johns, though, Johns can write the Flash, which is kind of a street level thing. Just as easily as Johns can write Superman. Just as easily as Johns can write Justice Society. So, Jeff Johns had a lot of range. Their Green Lantern, I'm told, is really good. So, yeah, just, I don't know who else I would have put in that position. Because my ultimate problem with Johns isn't that his, writing is not good. My problem with Jeff Johns is that he's too much of a fanboy. And I know that it's kind of weird to say because we want people who are fans to take on these characters, because we want people who love these characters to write these characters and tell stories with these characters and craft adventures for them. But the problem with Jeff Johns is that Jeff Johns likes specific versions of these characters, like we all do. But his whole thing is, no, I like Superman, but I like Richard Donner's Superman. So when I write Superman, I'm just gonna invalidate everything from the past 20 years and just say that Richard Donner Superman is the comic Superman. We got a lot of weird shit like that. We got a lot of weird shit where oh no. That whole thing with Parallax. Oh no, that's not Green Lantern. That's not Hal Jordan at all. No, that's that whole arc that Hal Jordan has where he goes on the corrupted hero's journey and becomes a villain and becomes the worst version of himself, and he makes the conscious effort to redeem himself and dying a hero. No, that was all an alien parasite. Because Hal Jordan's my favorite superhero, and he can't be a bad guy. Jeff Johns just kind of got in his own way. Or but rather, Jeff Johns' love and appreciation and reverence for the DC universe that he grew up with and loved got in the way of telling stories about the DC universe and DC characters that we all kind of love. Jeff Johns definitely made a case for why you shouldn't let people who are fanboys write characters that they're fanboys of. Basically just Dan Slott on the most grand epic scale you can kind of compare that to. Can you imagine if Dan Slott became the creative captain of Marvel Comics? That'd be an interesting universe. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Tevia says, Judge Dredd, awesome. Yeah, no, I like a lot of the Judge Dredd stuff. I want to read more of this. I want to check out that stuff a little more. Joe Quesada and Dan DiDio are counterparts for one another. Oh yeah, it's not kinda. Yeah, no, they are 100%. It's kind of weird. I'm watching The Sopranos right now. There's a whole thing in the opening of The Sopranos, the first episode, where Tony's talking about how the glory days of the mafia are over, and he feels like he got in too late. He got in on the ground floor too late. I often feel like Joe Quesada and Dan DiDio, if you talk to them about the comics business and the Marvel and DC universes respectively, I think they would kind of parrot Tony Soprano in that kind of way, minus the racism and sexism and misogyny and all that, but but yeah, no, I think they would kind of agree, maybe they got in at just the wrong time. But I think a lot of people feeling that like the late 90s, early 2000s era. 1610. Remember Dylan Dog, the movie from the 2000s? I try not to. Tevia says, except Bendis just likes deconstructing everything. Well, I wouldn't say Bendis deconstructs everything. He just kind of... So there's a difference between deconstruction and character analysis. Like, a lot of people talk about, like, Tom King's run on Batman as a deconstruction of Batman. Even I'm guilty of that with the early Rebirth videos and stuff like that. But Tom King's Batman is not a deconstruction of Batman. That is a character study of Batman. You know, or like, people say that Zack Snyder's Man of Steel is a deconstruction of Superman. It's not a deconstruction of Superman. It is a character analysis of Superman. It is a character analysis of a character who would be in Superman's position in the 21st century, but it is not a deconstruction of Superman. BVS, you know, that is a deconstruction of Superman. That is a deconstruction of Batman. That's a deconstruction of Wonder Woman. But I don't know, Man of Steel and BVS are they're made by the same guy, but they're doing very different things with the same character. Because, okay, a deconstruction is when you take a character, right? And you just kind of pick things apart. You take everything apart piece by piece. And then you stack the pieces in a different order. And you're like, okay, well, this piece was here originally. What if I put it up here? This piece was down here, but what if I put it right here? You know, and you just kind of put everything back together, which is the thing that I think a lot of people in comics don't do when they're doing deconstructions anymore. Part of the deconstruction process is reconstruction, which I'll talk about reconstruction later. But, part of the deconstruction process is actually take the character apart, you put them back together in a different kind of way, and you just kind of look at them and try to see if the new version that you've kind of put together is anything like the old version. I feel like I could have worded that better, but I hope you are sniffing what I'm shitting. If you can pick up what I'm putting down. If you can smell what I'm stepping in. That's what deconstruction is. Deconstruction is taking a character apart and putting them back together differently. And seeing if the pieces still fit. If that makes sense. But a character study is not deconstruction. Not inherently, at least. A character study is just taking your rose-tinted glasses off and just kind of looking at them for what's there. Like Man of Steel is not a deconstruction of Superman. That is just taking the concept of Superman and just kind of looking at them within the 21st century world and saying, this is what Superman would look like in 2013, in a post 9/11 kind of world. Tom King's Batman is also a character study of Batman. That is, it's not a deconstruction of Batman. People say that a lot, but it's not. It's really not. Tom King's not picking Batman apart, at least not early on in the run. There's a little deconstruction that goes on when you get to the Nightmares arc and all that. But for the most part, I Am Gotham, I Am Suicide, and I Am Bane, that's all character study. We're just taking the rose-tinted glasses off of our faces and just looking at Bruce Wayne as he is within DC Comics canon now. And by now I mean 2016, but now. What kind of person would that be? A person who's gone on all these adventures, Um, they've gone to hell. They've come back from the brink of the multiverse, and they've experienced all of existence, and they're just this man who wears a bat costume who likes to help people. Like, what do they look like when they're like 40 years old and have experienced everything? What does that person look like? That's what a character study is. Yeah, I don't know. Bendis, a lot of Bendis stuff isn't really deconstruction. A lot of it's character study. His Spider-Man is character study. It turns into deconstruction later on, but for the most part, it starts out as character study. Daredevil is deconstruction, but that's because you're watching Matt Murdock post Guardian Devil, like when Karen Page dies. You're watching Matt have a 4 or 5 year long mental break. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I went on that whole spur. I just kind of... Deconstruction and character study are very different, but yeah. I don't know how I got there, but anyways. Supreme Omega says, on the Inhumans, I wish Marvel hadn't screwed up their big push, because the Inhumans are pretty cool, and they are not the X-Men. They're more like Dune mixed with Game of Thrones, with themes of eugenics and class. As I've seen in the 3 or 4 comics the Inhumans show up in, I heard the Paul Jenkins Inhuman stuff is really good. I haven't read that yet, though, but I will. I think the big problem that the Inhumans have now is that so many Marvel fans just resent them because for the past 4 or 5 years, or not past, but there was this whole period when the MCU was clearly swinging their cinematic schlong across all of Marvel Entertainment's face, just letting that film synergy jism just kind of seep everywhere. And because the MCU does not have the mutants, or at the very least didn't have the mutants for a long time, there was this mandate from on high that you can't use mutants in anything. In fact, play the mutants down. In fact, what if we just killed off a bunch of mutants? What if we just have the mutants not be what they're supposed to be? Let's just drop the ball on the mutants and the X-Men, and let's just make the Inhumans the new mutants. That really soured a lot of people, I feel, and that's why the Inhumans are kind of hated by the public now. But yeah, no, it's kind of sucks. But I think the Inhumans as a concept are really interesting. And I've heard that comparison to Dune a lot, so I'm fascinated to see how that works. Once I pick up the Paul Jenkins Inhuman series, which is the one thing that everyone recommends. So yeah, I'm gonna check that out. The 1610 Man. When Jeff Johns deconstructs stuff, he always uses Silver Age aesthetics around the deconstruction itself to show the good of humanity from the bad of humanity. Yeah. In fact, that's what Jeff Johns' Flash is. That's him deconstructing the Flash. It's also him when he deconstructs the Justice League with the New 52. Significantly not as great as Flash, but still, yeah. Also JSA. His JSA is a heavy deconstruction of the Silver and Golden Age of DC Comics. As is Teen Titans. Teen Titans is also that. Supreme Omega says, on Johns' Flash run, I feel the second half is weaker with Wally having a secret identity again, and the retcon where the rogues didn't truly reform, but they were brainwashed to be good by the Top and Barry. I agree. That's my big problem with Jeff Johns' Flash. But also, it's so weird. Because Johns wants to put the genie back in the bottle. The problem is putting the genie back in the bottle makes Wally like not the same character and kind of regresses him. And by kind of I mean like you make him not the same character anymore. Wally's whole thing is that he is the super celebrity superhero. Making him just like a mechanic who does like Flash stuff. You just made him Spider-Man. You made Wally Spider-Man. Just a regular guy who's the regular Joe who's also the big time superhero. I never really cared for that choice, to be honest. I like how we get there with the whole thing with Linda getting attacked by a Reverse Flash, but I've never liked the idea itself of Wally's identity being put back in the bag. Tevi says, shame, Ultimate Moon Knight got screwed over. Yeah, yeah, although that was in an era when like Moon Knight wasn't really a character that like anyone really cared about. It's the same thing with Black Widow. Like, so many people have such a problem with the way the Ultimate Universe handles Black Widow, but like the thing I keep telling people was it was 2004 or 5, like nobody cared about Black Widow yet. So you were allowed to do like interesting shit with Black Widow because nobody cared about that character. You know, that's just how that is. It's like the Adam Strange book by Tom King. No, that book is really interesting. And you're allowed to do like really weird stuff with him because nobody cares about Adam Strange. The second people care about characters, that's when you start to put on kid gloves and you have to like really walk on eggshells with like, oh, can I do this? Oh no, you don't like when I do that. Can I do this? Oh no, you don't like when I do that either. Okay, I'll just do the same thing. Let's play greatest hits. Let's play greatest hits. That's the problem that like, a lot of popular superheroes have that a lot of niche characters don't really have because people don't care about them. So you can do like really weird stuff like Adam Strange, or like even Iron Man kind of. I think you can do weird shit with Iron Man because outside of the movies nobody really cares about Iron Man. But yeah, no, Moon Knight. It's also why I think you can do weird shit with Moon Knight because nobody cares about Moon Knight. Not really, anyways. I think like maybe Godzilla Mendoza cares about Moon Knight, but that's about it. It's like the one and only person. 1610 Man says, Inhumans were its own corner of the Marvel Universe and the royal family, and own people that just crossed over with the Fantastic Four. Yeah, well, that's how like Jack Kirby was trying to like put the Marvel Universe together, right? He was trying to do the whole thing where this whole big expansive universe, you know, like there's these like flash in the pan stories happening everywhere across the globe and even like on the moon and you know and like the dark corners of space and all this weird shit's happening all at once. And the stories that we're reading are just like, boom, flash in the pan. This weird thing happened right now, over here. Well, this other weird thing was happening right now, over here. And they're like, not connected to each other, but it's the same universe. So weird, huh? So like, that's what the Marvel Universe is kind of built on. I think that's pretty fascinating. I think that's pretty fascinating. Sorry, my speech is slurring because I'm tired of shit. fact, I'm gonna wrap this guy up. Because I also gotta like get back to editing that Superman video if I want to like publish it tomorrow. But yeah, I might call it a night, guys. Thank you so much for watching. But let me answer. I'll do 5 more questions. Let me just skip down to the bottom of the chat real quick. Let's see. All right, last 5 right here. 1610 man. I did like Harry Osborn's resurrection, even if it undid classic stories. The best of enemies. Yeah, that's true pain. That is true pain right there. And 1610 Man goes on to say, Spider-Man went from happy, if somewhat emo as a result of his crappy personal life, to emo that he makes deals with the devil to stop having more pain. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Let's see. Xavier says, I hated the Osborn resurrection because it made no sense with, which is why I'm glad that he got killed off lately in Nick Spencer's run. Yeah, well, I also just don't think that Harry should have been brought back to life in the first place. But again, just Spider-Man for the past like 30 years has been like nothing but just one big ass Oedipus complex, editorially at least. So that's the big problem with Spider-Man. Supreme Omega. I always wonder why Kyle managed to have longevity as the main Green Lantern for 10 years in spite of diehard Hal Jordan fans hating the character and seeing him as a pretender. Well, it's the same kind of way that like a lot of Spider-Man fans, myself included, see Miles Morales as kind of like a fake Spider-Man. You know, it same thing. Just you're not the real guy, even though you are kind of the real guy in your own right. But like, you're not the real guy. Question. I'm just wondering how you would bring back the Ultimate Marvel Universe. Well, it is back. It's a weird, crappy, sanitized version of it, but I guess technically it is back. And Bendis brought it back at the end of his tenure at Marvel. 1610 Man, Ultimate Marvel Universe should be its own universe away from the 616. I agree. I think it was a mistake to have them cross over. Supreme Omega, on the 2000s DC, I feel like John should not have been the main architect for the DC Universe. It should have been Wade and Morrison and Rucka doing the more grounded crime stuff. Yeah, you know what? I take it back. Yeah, Mark Waid, despite being a person, would have been the perfect architect for the DC Universe, especially in like 2002, 2003. Oh my God, yes. Yeah, dude, that's a good call. That's a good editorial call. In fact, now that Mark Waid's back at DC, I think Mark Waid could and should be the creative architect for the DC Universe moving forward. Will he? Probably not, because it's probably going to be like Joshua Williamson or someone like that. But I think Mark Waid is the right choice for it. And Greg Rucka would have been great for doing like a lot of the grounded DC stuff. I have not read Greg Rucka's Batman, but I've read Gotham Central, and if Gotham Central is any indication, yeah, Rucka has the proper sensibilities to do a street level DC universe. Like really flesh out the street level side of the DC universe. Supreme Omega says on more. in one of his League of Extraordinary Gentlemen stories, he portrayed Harry Potter as the Antichrist, and he sees J.K. Rowling as a greedy hypocrite. This was in the late 2000s. Hindsight is funny. Well, that's just Alan Moore being prophetic. I have some of those League of Extraordinary Gentlemen comics that my buddy got me from those like big ass long boxes. I gave away like all the other stuff. So like some of my like other friends who like are trying to get into comics, and I've like lent out a lot of other stuff. But like, I kept a lot of it, and of the stuff I kept that League of Extraordinary Gentlemen stuff. So I hope the Harry Potter thing that you referenced is in one of those things I kept. 1610 Man, a sanitized Ultimate Marvel equals an ultimized MCU. I gotta think about that. Yeah. Damn. Shit, bro. He's spitting. This man's spitting. Damn. Tevia says, question, I am just wondering, how would you do a Convergence style event, but for Marvel Comics, similar to DC Comics? Well, Marvel already did that. It's called Battle World. Yeah. That was the war zones. Those were the war zones. It was kind of like a Convergence style kind of thing where we saw like different pockets of the Marvel multiverse just kind of having their own mini-series conclusions. Yeah, that already happened. Hickman did it for us already, and I liked it a lot. Joshua Williamson is kind of safe and boring with his DC stuff, and had a generic Speed Force monster character, demonized Wally West fans. The Barry Allen Flash versus the Wally West Flash, dawn of a broken fandom. I hate how accurate that is. Yeah. Pain. The Flash is also one of those big problems where I think it hasn't happened yet, but I can totally see it happening, where the Flash also runs into the same editorial problem that Spider-Man's run into, where it's no longer about telling stories, it's just about invalidating the previous editorial and creative staff and just kind of bringing in the stuff that me, the creator, likes, and me, the new editor, likes. And fuck the previous editor. Like, I think that's a potential problem that the Flash can run into. I mean, we kind of saw that with Joshua Williamson's run on the Flash. We did. Yeah. Supreme Omega says, on Earth 616, Hank Pym, do you feel he is unfairly demonized? Yes. Sorry, I should finish the question first. Do you feel he is unfairly demonized for slapping Janet one time and creating Ultron? He honestly tried to reform and seek mental help. I mean, Reed slapped Sue in the 80s, yet no one cares. Well, that's because the reality is Reed's dickerdry came later on, after the Fantastic Four were like already kind of seen as this like Paramount kind of thing, whereas Hank Pym didn't really find his footing as a character until after that whole thing with the slap. So people just kind of identified Hank as the guy who slapped his wife that one time, despite the fact that a lot of the men in the Marvel Universe have slapped their wives and are like misogynistic and abusive, you know. I'm looking at you. Peter Parker's punching MJ across a room. No one talks about that though. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about how Peter and MJ are actually kind of in a toxic relationship. That really doesn't work. But no, ideal Marvel couple. Nobody talks about how Reed Richards is like an abusive jackass. Although actually no, I take that back. We do talk about that now a lot in Marvel Comics. In fact, that was the whole basis for Hickman's Fantastic Four. What the fuck am I talking about? So yeah, no, that's in the conversation already. But yeah, no. A lot of the men in the Marvel Universe are weirdly abusive of their significant others. It's just that like that became the primary like identifier for Hank Pym. Supreme Omega on Evangelion. Morally, what are your thoughts on human instrumentality? Do you agree with it or not? Well, that's above me. I don't know. That's like asking whether or not I'm fine with seals raping penguins. You know, like penguins are dicks to fish, but seals are dicks to penguins, and orcas are dicks to orcas are dicks to seals and penguins. But like orcas and dolphins and like all those cute cuddly mammals of the sea are like all assholes. But like yeah, no, like I don't know. It becomes a weird question of just nature. The whole thing with human instrumentality in Evangelion is that humans in the angels they can't coexist. They're fine independently. It's just they're of two separate seeds that aren't supposed to occupy the same space, and because they occupy the same space, they're in constant conflict with one another. So that's the shit, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. Again, that's above me. That's a nature problem. I don't. There's no real morality there. It's not as simple as Berserk, where there is a very clear cut morality to that. But yeah, no. I don't know. That it's no real answer for that. I'm sorry. 1610 Man says the internet is a good tool for comic book research. Yes, it is. In fact, the internet makes like getting into comics way easier. I know for, like when I was a kid, and I was like reading comics, I was kind of like weirdly confused by a lot of shit. And I also like didn't have a lot of money growing up, so I couldn't like just go out and buy. Oh well, I'm this. I don't know who that Jason Todd kid is. Why is everyone talking about Jason Todd and the dead Robin? I didn't know Robin died. What happened? Well, I couldn't afford to go out and buy the Death in the Family, so I looked the shit up on Google. Like, just made life easy until I was able to actually read that comic for myself. Or like when I was reading, I think when I started reading a lot of the Daredevil stuff, it was with Brubaker, and I was like, why is Daredevil in prison? Because I didn't read the Alex Maleev and Bendis Daredevil book because the art threw me off. But yeah, no, it was a good. It was good to like provide context to like Wikipedia or whatever the fuck. You'd be like, oh, so Matt is in prison now. Okay, cool. That makes sense. See, the internet's a great tool for reading comics. It helps you like, yeah, it's a great help. the internet is also like a demon that's trying to like corrupt our souls. So I agree with Grant Morrison in that regard. But no, the internet can be as helpful as it is hurtful, I think. Um, uh, and with that, I am going to wrap up tonight's stream. Cause it's like 1:14 in the morning, and I kind of want to like get at least where am I with this video? Okay, I'm like 80% done with this. So okay, I want to like get this video done so I can like post it tomorrow morning. But yeah, no. In the meantime, thanks for watching, guys. And enjoyed the comics y'all picked up this week. Hopefully next week's like a really bountiful comics week. And yeah, as always, much love. Thanks for watching, and until next time, adios, nachos. Adios. Wait, I went too early. God damn it. All right, I'll do that again. Adios.